All right, peace. What's going on, y'all? Give me 1 second to hop on Insight Timer. Good to see y'all. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings to all. Hopefully, everybody's safe. Everybody's blessed. But most importantly, hopefully, y'all know y'all blessed, recognizing and grateful for it. You know, it's a lot of people who may not have. Hold on a second, hopping on now. Peace and blessings. What's going on, y'all? How's everybody feeling tonight? As you come in, let me know how you feeling. Let me know how you doing. What's going on in your lives? Where you coming in from? Right now, I'm feeling okay. You know, but I've been trying to keep my energy up all week. I've been kind of crashing all week, but I'm trying to keep my energy up to bring some positivity to everybody. So as y'all come in, say hello. Let me know where you're coming from. I think my signal is good. Space pizza. I'm not sure I know what that means, but it sounds positive. So thank you. And I'm glad that you're here. Welcome. Come around the campfire. Let's talk. Let's hang out. Let's chat. I'm gonna send everybody some hearts, some positive energy. I'll give y'all a love explosion real quick. Toronto, Carmen, how you doing? Glad you're here. From Texas, Lynn, what's up? I'm gonna wait till y'all come in. But in fact, I'll let you guys know now as everybody's coming in. I have been keeping my word. I've been practicing this thing. I have not been practicing in an orthodox way where I'm trying to learn a song. What I've been doing is I just been messing around with it. From Calgary, Alberta. Okay, thanks for stopping by. But as I was saying, I've been practicing the guitar, not in the orthodox way where I'm trying to learn a song or learn chords. What I've been doing is I just been messing around with it and seeing what sounds I kind of like. And believe it or not, I actually played guitar. I actually played guitar, recorded a song, and I just uploaded it to Insight Timer so you guys can listen to it. It's a love meditation or romantic meditation I did. It's called Love Spell. I play the guitar, I sing, wrote the lyrics. Um, Let me know what you guys think. If you guys like the way the music is coming out, I'll keep learning the guitar and keep adding stuff there. And if you think it sucks, let me know that too. Yeah, Love Spell, Karen. Yep. Basically it's something that I wrote because winter is coming, and I know sometimes people might feel lonely in the winter. And I'm 42 years old. I know there's a lot of people out there who may be in their 40s. They may be looking to connect. They may be looking for a relationship and might have anxiety about it. So I wrote a song that you can listen to and meditate to, that kind of kind of sets a romantic mood and kind of clears your mind. That helps address the anxiety of trying to open up for a relationship, which I think a lot of us may have. I'm 42, and I haven't hit the dating scene. I'm terrified to hit the dating scene, man. The stuff that I'm seeing on social media, I'm like, if this is how people date nowadays, I don't know what I'm gonna do, because it looks insane out there. It looks insane out there. So that's what the song is about. Let's calm our anxiety. Let's find our center, and let's get back out there. For those of us looking for love, love is to be had. Yeah. Hopefully you guys like it. But as I said, I'm still learning guitar. It's a very simple, like little guitar strumming that I did. You know, real simple, real simple singing. But I think it sounds pretty cool. But I'm partial. It could be because it's me. So listen to it tonight. As soon as we're done here tonight, I want y'all all to hit my Insight Timer page, listen to Love Spell, and let me know what you think. If you think it sounds good, if you have a constructive criticism, or even if you just want to say, you know what, it needs work, I appreciate any and all input. Any and all input would be appreciated. I love you guys to death. Um, there was something else I wanted to mention to you guys too, but I can't remember what it was. There was something else I wanted to say. I can't even remember. If I think of it, I'll say it, but I can't remember it. Oh yeah, also yeah, I played guitar on another meditation that I uploaded. I think I uploaded it last week. It's called Letter to My Mind. I played the guitar on that one as well. But that one is a guided meditation, but without singing. It's just me speaking and guiding the meditation. So have a listen to that one. That one I liked a lot as well. I think that one was pretty cool. From Australia, what's going on, Blossom? I like the way you write your name with the S's sideways. I don't know how you did that, but that's pretty cool. When I first saw it, I was like, is that Arabic? At first, I was a bit confused. Grayson, what's going on? And let me just say also, thank you guys so much for showing up, man. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys are here to provide me with some positive energy too, because I need it too. Trust me, I need the positive energy too. But this is going to be a pretty interesting conversation. It's going to be a pretty interesting conversation. I think this will be pretty cool. We're going to cover a variety of topics, and yeah, this is one of those mystic moments that I think would be awesome. I think this would be really, really awesome. But also, yeah, you'll notice I'm wearing a camouflage t-shirt. Why am I wearing a camouflage t-shirt? There used to be a hip hop group called Killer Army that I used to listen to back in the day, and another group called OGC, Original Gun Clappers, and they used to always wear camouflage, particularly Killer Army. They wore camouflage because they were saying like we're in a spiritual war, we're in a societal war. So I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna bring back camouflage. I'm gonna bring it back for the same reason. So you'll see I got the camouflage on because we got to keep our armor on, our armor of honorability, our armor of righteousness, our armor of love, our armor of compassion. We gotta be ready to wage war, but it's a war of peace. That's why I'm also wearing the Ankh, which is a sign for life and a sign for divinity. So we gotta balance being assertive and being aggressive with the spirituality. Let our spirituality be our guide in today's crazy times so that we can bring peace to the world. It's time for the righteous to stand up. Good people with good hearts, let's stand up. You see all the crazy things going on in the world. No more watching in silence. No more just praying about it. Let's act and see what we can do. So we're at the 7 minute mark. So if you know me, the 7 minute mark is where we begin. So let's get started. Um, Basically, what this is an experience that I had. I was in the shower, and in the shower, I typically meditate first thing in the morning. So as I meditate, my mind is clear. And there's been times where I had these just like these just explosive, really powerful, really intense moments where I'm in the shower doing my meditation, and all these ideas just start flooding into my mind. And sometimes maybe it just feels like my thoughts are just racing because I'm an imaginative person. But this time, just felt a little bit different. It felt a little bit different. The information that hit me felt like it felt like it was a revelation. It felt like one of those moments that you read about where a scientist or even a regular person is sitting there just thinking, and then all of a sudden they just somehow crack open mysteries of the universe. I'll call those downloads. Somebody else might call those intuition. Albert Einstein came up with the theory of relativity as kind of like a download, intuition. Isaac Newton came up with the theory of gravitation. Just kind of sitting under a tree, daydreaming, an apple fell on his head, and boom, the idea came to him. And I'm pretty sure there was a lot of thought beforehand and a lot of thought afterward. But sometimes in those moments of quiet, the ideas just explode. It's almost as if the ideas are coming from somewhere else. And that was the experience that I had. And I wanted to share it with you guys because this feels real. It feels real. It feels like this is like a scientific breakthrough. And I want to share with you guys because if it is real, if this is a scientific breakthrough, if it is something really interesting about space time, time travel, and how the universe began, I want to put it out there so that there's a record to say that um, the scientists were working on this, and then some guy out of nowhere just had this revelatory moment. There's a guy named Amit Goswami. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Amit Goswami. Goswami. Amit Goswami. He is a quantum physicist. Very brilliant person, and he's been researching on the physics of consciousness. He's been doing it for a while. I first encountered Amit Goswami, I believe, when watching the movie The Secret. That's a while he's been in the spotlight. And Amit Goswami wrote a book called Quantum Creativity. In this book, Quantum Creativity, what he says is that people have the ability to basically have their minds open up and their quantum selves bring in a whole bunch of information almost as if it's from another realm. You get all of this information just kind of put into your mind, and it seems like it's coming from nowhere, but somehow the universe just directly communicates this information to you. And it doesn't matter if you're a physicist, if you're a scientist, if you're a doctor. Sometimes people just get these insights that are just amazing. And I feel like I've had one of these insights. Amit Goswami says that this can happen to anybody. And what the insight that is, I'm going to share with you guys is it's going to cover spatial dimensions. It's going to cover time, the creation of the universe, prophets, and time travel. Now, I'm going to start from the beginning. We're going to start and lay down the groundwork of this. If I'm moving too fast, or if you have questions, by all means, throw the questions up. We'll start with the groundwork. And the first thing we're going to discuss is the 8 dimensions. Now, what do you mean 8 dimensions? Well, there's in this revelation that came to me, there are indeed 8 dimensions. Amit, Amit. Oh, Goswami, Goswami. Okay. Now, we're going to go over the 8 dimensions really quickly. The first dimension, straight line, right? That's length. Simple enough. Second dimension is the square, width. Simple enough. The third dimension is the cube, which is depth, right? Simple enough. Then, of course, the fourth dimension, Albert Einstein says the fourth dimension is time. However, in this revelation that came to me, there's more dimensions. There's a fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth dimension. The fifth dimension is regression. In that dimension, regression is possible. And what regression is moving backwards through time. The sixth dimension is progression, which is moving forward in time, right? The seventh dimension is diversion, which is when you're traveling down one timeline and you're able to divert to another timeline. And then the final dimension is the eighth dimension, which is conversion, which is when two potentialities for a timeline kind of come together and give birth to a new timeline. Now, all of this sounds very science fiction. Well, it is kind of science fiction. And the way we think of time, the way we experience time in three-dimensional space, we kind of experience time moving linearly. We don't really think of the idea of traveling backwards through time as a possibility or traveling forwards through time as a possibility. This is all new ground for us, right? Um, However, there is a theory of time called eternalism. And the theory of time called eternalism is kind of like when you can see the universe from God's eye view. From our particular perspective, we're seeing it from a third dimensional perspective, a third dimensional eye view. So we see time moving only forward, right? But in eternalism, it basically has the idea that all time exists at the same time, meaning that the present, the future, the past all exist. They all exist now. So the present, the future, and the past all exist and they all exist now. How can we access all of that? We have to stand outside of time in order to see all these moments of time and be able to pick which option we want to explore. Well, how is that even possible? Well, it's possible because space and time are a continuum together, like this. Space and time work together. Albert Einstein talks about the space-time continuum. So space and time operate together. You cannot have space without time. You cannot have time without space, right? So if space by definition is finite, that means time by definition is finite, which means that it's possible to stand outside of a space and it's possible to stand outside of time. That's where eternalism comes into play. So when you stand outside of time, you can look at the timelines and see everything past, present, future. You see everything, right? So, what is this place that we're talking about? If you're standing outside of space and you're standing outside of time, what are these things? What is that place that's beyond space and time? Well, that place that's beyond space and time, I refer to it here as the creative hyper reality. What is the creative hyperreality? The creative hyperreality is the quote unquote place outside of space and time. The place outside of the space-time continuum. The space-time continuum is finite. The creative hyperreality is infinite. And this place, the creative hyperreality, this is where universes are born. This is a dimension beyond space and time. It is a dimension of pure consciousness, and this consciousness creates our reality from itself. So space and time was created from the creative hyperreality itself. You know, in Kabbalah, they talk about how God created the universe from his own body. You know, if you look at ancient Kemetic mythology, it talks about how the gods created the universe from their own body. In Babylonian mythology, it says the same thing, that the gods, they were gods that got into a conflict, they clashed, they fought, and the world was created from the body of one of the dead gods. Well, the creative hyper reality, we can kind of see it as God, as a realm of pure consciousness beyond dimension, beyond space, beyond time, infinite, that gives birth to everything else. How does it give birth to everything else? Well, from itself. Because there's nothing that exists beyond the all. The creative hyperreality is the all. It is everything. It is infinite. And therefore it doesn't need any other material to create. It simply uses itself, the power within consciousness itself. And this creative hyperreality is a mega consciousness. It is consciousness itself by definition. Now, when a person can see things from that perspective, they are, in essence, pretty much able to prophesy. So, what we're talking about here is an individual who gets to see beyond the space time continuum to a realm outside of space and time. And if you're able to see space and time from the creative hyperreality or receive messages from the creative hyperreality, that's prophecy. So, all of the biblical and extra biblical prophets who were receiving messages from the gods, these were individuals who were getting messages directly from the creative hyperreality. What does that mean? Well, essentially, it means they were time travelers. They were individuals who were able to step outside of, or at least see outside of space and time, and were able to see the future because they were able to see things from a God's eye view. Yes, sometimes they would see messages, but also they would be able to step outside and see it themselves. When you hear these stories in the Bible about people seeing these bizarre visions in the book of Revelation, the book of Ezekiel, why are they seeing it that way? It would be just simple to just say, hey, Rome is going to come and take over the temple. Jerusalem is going to fall. It's easier to say it that way, but they have to say it in a way that's so convoluted and so complex. A part of it is, yes, they had to hide what they were saying because they didn't want the Romans or the Assyrians or whoever had conquered them to understand what they were saying and predicting. But also it was because a lot of times they were seeing things outside of space and time. They were trying to explain an experience that's almost inexplicable because we can't fathom being in a dimensionless or infinitely or a place of infinite dimensions. It's even strange to call it a place because it's beyond space and time. It's not really a place. Now it would be heaven. Great. That's a great way of saying it. It would be heaven. But even beyond heaven, it would potentially be God itself. So these prophets had the ability to basically engage in traveling through time through these other dimensions. They were able to engage in progression and regression, to go backwards and to go forwards in time by means of tapping into the creative hyperreality. Now, what is a Messiah? We know what a prophet is. A prophet is a person who gets messages from the creative hyperreality and they're able to step outside of the timeline and see glimpses of things. But a Messiah is an entity that is specifically sent from the creative hyperreality. These messiahs are fourth dimensional, meaning they are sent to divert a timeline into another timeline. I'm sorry, not fourth dimensional, seventh dimensional, because they are there for the purpose of diversion. They want to pull one timeline that could be ending in catastrophe or ending in disaster. They will pull one timeline from disaster and to pull it into another way so the timeline can continue. And they were specifically sent and created by the creative hyperreality. Some individuals are born and they have this purpose already programmed into their DNA. So the creative hyperreality brought them forth in order to maintain the rest of the space-time continuum. These individuals were sent to save everything, to save reality itself. They were sent to save reality itself. That's their purpose. So that's the purpose of a Messiah. And there's a lot of individuals who you can look at and say that was most likely a Messiah. You could say Martin Luther King was most likely a Messiah because he was trying to pretty much save the human race, trying to divert one disastrous timeline to another timeline so that this continue. Same thing with Malcolm X. As a matter of fact, J. Edgar Hoover sent a letter to the CIA basically saying he was looking for the Black Messiah, trying to kill and destroy the Black Messiah. And it's been a theory in my community for a long time that has deeper meaning. We're talking about an individual who was sent from the creative hyper reality, from outside of our reality, from another realm, outside of space and time, to save the space time continuum, the past, the present, and the future, to save reality itself from complete obliteration by diverting it, using the ability to tap into the seventh dimension. Sounds strange, right? Let's continue. And by putting this person, this seventh dimensional person, into a three-dimensional space, what they do is they plant a seed for a new timeline, for a new reality. But we don't notice it. The rest of the world don't notice when this new reality is being created, because it's planted. The reality is connected to our reality so smoothly and so perfectly, and we're diverted so perfectly into a different timeline that nobody picks up on it. Right? Conversion. Conversion. What is conversion? Conversion is when you have two timelines or two potentialities that are so powerful they come together and create a new timeline. So, what's a potentiality? When I say potentiality, I'm talking about the mathematical probability of an event taking place, where you see the creative hyperreality, the CHR. The CHR is the realm of all possibilities. It's infinite. Therefore, all possibilities exist there. However, some possibilities are going to be more powerful than others. Some possibilities are going to become so powerful that it's going to create the potential for another timeline. And as that potential for something to happen in another timeline arises, potential for another timeline arises over here as well. So both these, you have our timeline here in the middle, and we're going along, minding our own business. You have the potential for another timeline to happen over here. As the potential rises, right, it creates the possibility for a new reality. The timeline also has the potential for another timeline over here. And these two timelines, all this potentiality converge into one place. And that creates a whole new timeline. And all these new possibilities explode into being. Right? So when these two potential timelines come together and converge on our timeline, that changes everything as well. Now, the ultimate question: how can we access these dimensions of traveling backwards in time, traveling forwards in time, converting and diverting timelines? Well, that's difficult because our bodies exist in third dimensional space. Our bodies exist in three-dimensional space, and we can experience time, right? The space-time continuum. But as far as accessing the fifth through the eighth dimensions, that's impossible for a third dimensional body. We have third dimensional bodies, we have third dimensional brains. So how can we access these other dimensions and move through space and time, or move beyond space and time? And we can do that simply, pieces going on, my brother. We can do that simply by utilizing astral projection. Astral projection is the ability to leave the three-dimensional body behind so that we can utilize another body or another form that can travel to other dimensions. It's non-corporeal, which means it has access to other places that we can't get to. Astral projection is something that people have been talking about and writing about for years. But how do you engage in astral projection? Well, you engage in astral projection by utilizing an astral body. How do you utilize an astral body? You utilize the astral body by strengthening it through meditation. That's one technique. You'll notice that a lot of these ancient traditions have it so that when you engage in meditation for long periods of time, it changes your brain. It's important that you understand that meditation changes your brain because it's going to make certain things possible that seem impossible. One of the things that become possible is the ability to leave the body behind and travel to other dimensions. It's not something that you can do instantaneously. Like if you go to the gym and your goal is to bench press 300 pounds, you might not be able to go right in there the first day and bench press 300 pounds. However, with time and practice, you will be able to do it. Same thing with your astral body. How many of us have ever used our astral body? You have to strengthen the astral body the same way you strengthen the physical body. So if you've never utilized the astral body or even thought about the astral body before, then accessing these other higher dimensions to move backwards and forwards through time at will look like it became possible for you. So you must strengthen the astral body through long periods of meditation. And then you'll notice you'll be able to step outside the body. I've had an experience multiple times where I was able to step outside of the body for quick seconds, boom, boom, real quick. But it took me months and months and months of meditating for hours per day. And when I did it, I stepped outside the body. I was at my job working third shift. I'm sitting over in a little corner where I used to chill at. There's a door right in front of me. There's a little corner right here, and there's two more doors around the corner. And I'm sitting there in a deep meditation trance. And all of a sudden, I realize I'm physically sitting in the chair. I feel myself physically sitting in the chair, but I also feel myself standing at the door. The door that's in front of me, I'm at the door with my hand on the doorknob, and I'm in the chair at the same time. I look back, I'm like, oh, I realized I was outside of my body. And then boom, I went right back into my body again because I was scared when it happened. Right. So I wasn't used to it. And as a matter of fact, I would recommend if you're going to do something like that, do it with a guide, have people there who have experience of traveling outside of the body. Yeah, it was weird. It was definitely weird. But having the ability to leave the body behind, then you can access different dimensions and you can access different points in the timeline. That's when you step into eternalism. You can see the past, the present, the future, and all of that stuff. Very interesting. Another way that you can develop your astral body is there's a guy named Sadhguru who talks about spiritual technology and inner engineering, and he mentioned one day in one of his lectures. He said it real quick, and if you don't listen, a lot of times these teachers will say something real deep and you'll miss it. And what he was talking about was he was talking about a guy who was a famous mathematician. But he said people would ask him, how do you create all of this math? How do you do all of this math? It's mind blowing. And the guy seemed like a real simple guy. You know, he wasn't college educated, wasn't particularly brilliant. He happened to stumble across a math book one day, read it, and kind of understood it, and became a well-renowned mathematician. And when they asked him questions about how he understood it, his response was, "My Devi bleeds mathematics." Now, the term Devi, it means a divine being. It means a goddess. Specifically means a goddess. So he had a spiritual being that would help accelerate his brain and make him better at mathematics. And Sadhguru used the phrase spiritual technology. Same thing with developing your astral body. A lot of individuals who engage in astral projection, they devote themselves to spiritual practice. They devote themselves to prayer. Look at the Bible and look at the Quran. Individuals who are able to see into the creative hyper reality, or look at our reality from a different vantage point and see the timeline, right? See the space time, see outside the space time continuum. These were individuals who were deeply spiritual and devoted to a divinity. By focusing on and submitting yourself to a divinity with absolute devotion, that does something to the brain. Worship does something to the brain. It does something to the brain that's so profound that it intensifies meditation. And prayer is a form of meditation. And there's moments where you see a lot of individuals who might not be on a spiritual path, but just through prayer and deep love of their spirit, of their spiritual deity, they're able to access unique abilities. And one of the things that they can do is they can strengthen their astral body and have the ability to step outside of the body. You hear people talk about it, but they talk about it in a form of religion. So when you have a religious conversation, people aren't talking the way we're talking right now. But how many times have you heard people in church? You see them have the Holy Ghost. They catch the Holy Ghost, right? And they will tell you, I feel like I was outside of my body. They tell you they had dreams when they're outside their body, right? Because they're in that moment of complete and total exaltation through devotion to the deity. And when that happens, it strengthens the astral body and makes it so that you're able to access higher dimensions. We're talking about spirituality. Yeah, it seems scary to you. It seems scary to me when it happened to me. I was scared too. Read and trust me. but it's actually very, very interesting. Some people might not want to do it. You might not want to do it. This is just another glimpse into human potential. For some individuals, being able to bench press 300 pounds don't mean nothing. But when I used to work out, trying to get up to 300 pounds is a big deal for me. For some individuals, being able to run really far means a lot. Having endurance to run real far never meant nothing to me. I didn't care. I was never a guy who I used to jog a lot when I used to go to the gym in my 20s, but I was never really a cardio guy. Some people just love cardio. You know what I mean? They develop their bodies to be able to run far distances and run for long periods of time. I was always more focused on trying to, strength train. So this is a aspect of human development you might not be interested in. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. Jay Bird, we appreciate you. And I appreciate anybody else who wants to make a donation. The knowledge is free, but if the spirit moves you to make a donation, please, by all means, I really appreciate it. Appreciate all donations. But as I was saying, so this is just another aspect of human potential, and maybe something you want to explore, and maybe something you might want to learn about, and never try. Like for instance, I tried lucid dreaming. I tried lucid dreaming before. It was really interesting, but I never really stuck with it. I stuck with meditation. Though meditation was my thing, and I've had a lot of mind blowing and beautiful meditation experiences. That was more my thing. That's where I wanted to focus my energy on human development. And for you, astral projection and time travel, it might not be that interesting to you, which I get it. It could be a little bit scary. But now let's talk a little bit more about the creative hyper reality itself. What is the creative hyper reality? As I was saying, the creative hyper reality is where universes are born. It's definitely scary. I understand, Rita. So the CHR, the creative hyper reality, as I was saying, this is the place where universes are born. It's the realm of all infinite possibilities. It is an infinite space outside of space and time, which means that if it's outside space and time, that means it's timeless. That means it's eternal. If it's the place where universes are born, that means that within this realm is the capacity for creation itself. And if it has the capacity to create, that means that it has a consciousness. So it seems that by definition, what we're talking about here in the creative hyper, we're talking about God. Now, we might not want to use the term because that term comes with a lot of religious baggage, and we're talking about something scientific and something spiritual. So you might not want to use the term God. You might use the term creative hyper reality. Essentially, what we're talking about is a reality beyond our own reality, from which our reality is derived. And this is something that the ancients have talked about a lot. They've talked about God being the creator of the universe and how there's different realms and different places. And then the Gnostics used to use the term the pleroma. Other people have used the term the all. Some say heaven. Somebody just mentioned the term heaven. Some might say the great void. But essentially, what we're talking about is we're talking about the place from which space and time uh, has come forth. Remember, space and time have a beginning. Even scientists nowadays say that the Big Bang was the beginning of space and time. But they never talk about what happened before space and time, what was there before space and what was there before time. And if space and time have a beginning, they say it started off at a point smaller than an atom, and all the density of the universe and all the power in the universe was there, and then something happened where it exploded. Well, what was that something that happened that led forth to the explosion? And where was this? Where was it? If there was no space and there was no time, then the concept of a where seems kind of contradictory. Essentially, what we're talking about is a moment of creation, and creation came forth from the creative hyper reality. That answers all of the questions right then and there. The creative hyper reality is the realm of all potentiality. Everything that's possible exists there. So only in a place like that can we get a universe. And it's beyond space and time because it existed before space and time. And it creates, which means that if it can create or if it can do something, it must have some kind of consciousness. because you can't get something conscious from something that's not conscious. Science hasn't been able to prove that yet. All the scientific studies they've done, they haven't been able to prove how you can get something that's conscious from something that's not conscious. So there must have been some kind of supreme consciousness that was the original consciousness that gave birth to us. We came from somewhere. Our consciousness came from somewhere. I know my consciousness came from my mom and my dad, and their consciousness came from their mom and their dad. But if you go back far enough, what was the original consciousness? Just a question. Your mind is blown. Your mind is blown. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. This download came and hit me like a ton of bricks in the shower. I couldn't breathe. I was like, I had to get out. Let me show you my notebook. I had to write all this stuff down. I had to draw. I can't even draw. My drawings look insane. I had to draw all these little diagrams to keep track of the ideas. We'll show y'all this crazy looking notebook. See? See all the little diagrams I had to draw? Trying to keep track of all this stuff in my head. Trying to keep track of all this insanity in my head. And it gets even weirder. And the part where I was talking about prophets, Enoch popped up. I didn't mention Enoch, but Enoch was in the download too. Enoch was the first Messiah. He was taken from Earth to the creative happy reality. But I was like, I'm not gonna mention Enoch. That's I don't want to go too far. Right. That's my whole point, Rita. Because what I was saying, and Rita just said something interesting, guys. Rita was saying that just because it can't be proven doesn't mean it's not true. And that's my whole point. A lot of times these ideas will occur to people, and then it takes a little while for science to catch up. That's why I wanted a record of it. I wanted to share it with you guys. So that way, if, say, for instance, 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line, some of this stuff starts to connect. If it starts to connect, then that will demonstrate to people that it's possible for these kinds of insights to occur to individuals. Where they come from, that's debatable. But I do believe that these kinds of insights are possible. I believe this is one of those extraordinary insights. I'm an imaginative guy. This was not an example of me writing a script or coming up with a story. Yeah, yeah. I believe you, Rita. I believe you. I've had experiences. I've had experiences that defy logic too. That's why it's easy for me to talk about these things now because the things that I've experienced don't make sense unless we talk about spirituality. That's why spirituality is something I'm comfortable talking about. I'm comfortable talking about the reality of the universe beyond what science can explain because I've had experiences that were beyond what science could explain. I've seen I've seen some crazy stuff, had some crazy experiences. Some I've shared with you guys, some I have not. But yeah, I feel the same way. What we're talking about when we say science is that we're talking about a very limited thing because we understand that there's things we don't fully understand. So that means that science don't have all the answers yet. What do I make it feel like you had an energy blast when you hugged that person? It could have been a transference of energy. It could have been a moment where you were feeling what they were feeling. Maybe they felt the same way when they saw you. Because that happens when you can actually be empathic in certain moments, or you may be an empath in general. And if you're an empath in general, you give somebody a hug, you could transfer their energy. When I was in a class actually getting certified to teach meditation and mindfulness. There were moments where we were working together and we were meditating together and practicing mindfulness together, and we were exchanging emotions left and right. It was very interesting. So it could have been an energy exchange, an emotion exchange. Yeah, people say they believe. Yeah, the thing about it is you got to understand that the reason why science exists is because all of us have different experiences. So science is a way of kind of putting everything in one place where you could turn to this one place for absolute certification of experiences. And anything outside of that might seem strange. It might seem strange. The ideas might seem bizarre, but that's okay because science is a constantly evolving thing. So I know if I have a particular experience, they might say, "Oh, that's not scientifically possible," but that don't mean my experience didn't happen. And remember that. Keep track of your experiences because you might have an experience and somebody might try to convince you the experience is not real. And then, 5 or 6 years from now, somebody might find the evidence that the experience is quite possible. That's why I never, I definitely keep in mind that some experiences may just be the mind at play. Exactly. That's all you can do is keep an open mind. Some experiences may be just the mind at play, but then there's going to be some moments and some experiences that are going to be they're just going to be real. They're going to be real, and it may not be a scientific explanation for it yet. I've read scientific articles, peer review articles. I was writing an article once in college about black holes, and I came across this article. It was a peer reviewed scientific article about what was it, a white hole, which I'd never even heard of before. But there was a white hole. There was a guy who was in Ireland or Scotland, way out, and he was walking through one of his fields, and he saw this sphere of light kind of rolling through the air, and as it's rolling through the air, just burning a path through everything that it touches, and then it kind of just bounced up and withered away and went away. And then scientists came and investigated, and they said, "Well, this is a white hole." Now that these are scientists who said that this actually happened. These are individuals who are scientists, and they had to look at this, and they said that it actually happens. But it sounds super bizarre. If you saw this in real life, it would blow your mind. It will blow your mind. So understand that a lot of these experiences that we've had they may be abnormal. They may be strange. That don't mean they're not real. Doesn't mean they're not real. And this old experience with me, what I've experienced and what I felt, it feels real. It feels real. It feels like there's some insight here. It's like something's going on here. Something's going on here. And I would love it if somebody looked at it maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10 years from now, and they said, you know what, you were right. Or someone was right. It don't have to necessarily be me. But it all feel like it makes perfect sense. I can't see somebody hearing that and saying, "Oh no, it's wrong because," and then explaining it away. But this is fun. This is a little bit shorter than usual, but I'm gonna wrap up now. Thank y'all so much for sharing time and sharing space, man. This is kind of cool. I definitely enjoyed this. Definitely enjoyed this. I'm gonna come back next week. I'm not sure what I'll cover next week. It's a couple ideas that I have in my mind that I might go over. Um, might do something on manifestation. Not sure yet. But yeah, next week we'll be back. Same bat time, same bat channel, 11:11 Wednesday night. And I would love to see you guys again. Tell a friend to tell a friend. My goal is, if possible, I want to see if you guys could bring a guest next time. We are close to 100. Next week, I want to see if we can get 200 people in here. So if you guys could bring a friend and we can get up to 200, I think that'd be pretty awesome. I also want to say thank you guys so much for the donations. And I also want to ask you guys once again, once we're done, as soon as we finished, please go check out the new meditation. Please go check. It's called Love Spells, right on my page. And if you guys can listen to it and just leave some feedback, you can say, "Yeah, I love it." You can say, "I hate it." You can say your guitar work is immature-ish at best and you suck. You can say, I loved it and I think it's awesome." Tell me what you think. And also, yeah, I sang on it too. So forgive me. Please forgive me. I just love to sing so daggone much. But let me know what you guys think, all right? And peace and blessings to all of you. I love you all to life. I love you to death, and I love you past that too. I'm gonna see y'all next week. And I might throw up another meditation as well this week while I'm at it. But y'all have a good one, man. Keep your energy up, keep your energy positive, keep loving your heart. Peace and blessings.